What's up, everybody? This is the PlayStation Lifestyle Underground podcast. We are an unofficial podcast of the PlayStation Lifestyle. My name is Hugo Siglitz. You can find me on PSN as Hugo Siglitz _420. And I got two other guys with me. You want to say hello?
Yeah, sure. I'm Steve Bitto. I am the community manager of PlayStation Lifestyle. And my PSN tag is Tyler X Durden.
And I'm Brian Mashala. You can find me on the forums and on the comments as Brian Mashala. And on the PlayStation Network, I'm CloudStrife768.
Awesome. So we are only a couple days from E3. I'm sure we're all excited. But lately, we're still going to discuss what we've been playing. Lately, I've still been playing pretty much the same stuff. Lots of Project Cars, a little bit of Battlefield, Killzone, Drive Club, Bloodborne, Saints Row, Metal Gear Solid 3 on the Vita, and a little bit of Alien Isolation. Oh, and I started playing Arkham City on the PC. I want to try to beat that game before Arkham Knight comes out, which is also coming very soon, so I got to get on that for sure. But what have you guys been playing lately?
I've been playing Dishonored. I think I started it before the last podcast, and I haven't quite finished it yet. I'll probably wrap it up this weekend. And then after that, I'm not sure. I'll probably be too entrenched waiting for E3 to get here on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I thought there'd be more. I've been playing a little bit of Witcher 3, rather, but a lot of time has been devoted to Final Fantasy XIV again. Just finishing up some of the last-minute story things I had left to do before the expansion launches next week, actually.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's a pretty big expansion. It's $60 just for the expansion?
I think it's
40 actually, correct?
40.
Or maybe it's
just for the expansion.
Maybe it's 60 for the game and the expansion then.
Actually, the main game was just on sale for I think $10.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I noticed on the PlayStation Store it did have Heavensward but it said $60. Maybe it was the game and the expansion.
There's also
I wasn't
possibly
sure.
There's also
because I thought it was like, whoa, a $60 expansion, and I've never heard of anything like that. But so maybe it is the game and the expansion, that's pretty cool. I know one of the dudes on PlayStation Blogcast, he plays that constantly.
It's a great game.
One of the guys.
And you might have seen the digital collector's edition for $60. That's what I pre-ordered. The actual expansion is $40, and could be the expansion in the game for $60. And of course, if you really want to go all out, there's the $130 fancy physical collector's edition with the statue, which I almost went for. It's a great game, a great series. I love it.
Yeah,
I think it's worth the money.
Yeah, there are a few series where I would indulge on like a big collector's edition type thing like that. Only a couple, but they do exist for me.
I am for the fan of pain.
I just gave it I gave it a double check, and the Realm Reborn Final Fantasy XIV is on sale for $10 at Amazon this week.
Nice.
Oh, Amazon. Okay. See, I saw the thing on PSN, so I wasn't sure if it was the expansion or the game. But I actually did try the beta of that game. I was completely lost because I've never played a Final Fantasy game, but I don't know, it seemed pretty cool, for an MMO. This week we had a couple things we wanted to talk about. One is the fact that we have E3 coming up on Monday, but we're still getting release dates beforehand, which, to some of us seems like kind of a surprise, just because you would think that they would want to save that to announce at the conference to say, like, oh, this game's coming out then, and, instead of, because it seems like a lot of times at these conferences they announce a lot of games, and they don't have a solid release date or even a release window. So you'd figure anytime that they have an actual solid date that they would want to actually mention that, but instead we're getting it a couple days or even weeks before the conference. Now, there are different situations like Fallout 4. I think is a little different, than well, they didn't announce a release date, but they did announce the game ahead of time. But I think that's a little different situation than, say, Volume getting its release date in August, or Rocket League in July, or Everybody Goes to the Rapture in August as well, and Until Dawn, which I think it was like a month ago or so that they mentioned that. But me personally, like I think that they could have just saved all of those games and just mentioned them all at the conference, because then it's like then they have more to show basically. I mean, unless Sony really doesn't need those extra few games. I mean, maybe that's a good sign that we have some stuff in store for E3 other than just third-party stuff and teaser trailers. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, for me, it just seems like it's so easy to put those in the conference, and then that's something for that little group of people, you know?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, a huge group of people isn't waiting for Rocket League, but there is a small group of people that's really, like, desperately waiting for info on that game. And just to see that in the conference, like, that would make it a much better conference for that crowd. Even though it's only maybe 30 seconds, 15 seconds.
Yeah. I think Rocket League, there should be a ton of people excited about that game, because it's just one of those games where I mean, everybody will love if they actually give it a chance. Like, I fail to see how any gamer could not like it. It's that good. So it's like, I think they really deserve time at Sony's conference, and especially with it being semi PS4 exclusive. I think they did say it's going to be on PC, but it is console exclusive. And I think that game definitely deserves to be at the E3 conference. Maybe it still will be, but them announcing the release date, I'm not sure it was totally necessary. Although it is, I think it's 3 weeks after E3, so maybe that's why they wanted to announce it ahead of time. But I think that game should definitely be shown at E3, just because it's really crazy. I mean, I know you guys have heard me and Juan rave about it because we got to play the beta, but yeah, like I think that game definitely deserves some time, and hopefully it does get it. I mean, but other than that, like yeah, I agree with you, because like they could have saved those other games, like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, for mention the release date at the
that
conference.
one in particular, to me, like, people have been raving about it all year. Everyone that's had a hands-on time, everyone that's got to see it, fly out there and see it. And then how great would it be if in 30 seconds of the conference you just say, like, here's 30 seconds that Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, and not only is it coming out this year, but it's coming out in August.
Exactly.
Everyone's excited about it. Everyone's happy about it. Instead of today, like, I feel like they announced it today, and it was just one of a ton of stories coming out today, pre-E3.
Yeah, and then there's also people that maybe haven't heard of the game, and then they see it, and then they notice that it's coming out real soon. That just gives them more of a reason to be interested. I think a lot of the times they show games, and then it says, "Oh, it's not going to be out for another year." People just put it in the, they just ignore it. Like, they just look over it because, like, oh, that's not coming out soon, so it's not really relevant to me right now. I mean, unless it's something they're really, really excited about. But I think a lot of people will be more inclined to, pay attention to a game if it's actually going to be coming out soon, because to me that makes it a little more relevant. So I do kind of find it odd that they're not saving that sort of thing for the conference. Like you said, I think it would be better for them.
Yeah, I mean, could you even imagine, like, if they came out, they said everyone is skeptical of Sony's their fall schedule, their winter schedule right now with exclusives. They're like, what if they come out Monday, and they're like, Everyone's Gone to the Rapture in August, Uncharted Collection October, something like The Last Guardian in November, and Uncharted 4 in February.
Yeah.
Like, the crowd would go wild. They'd be like, you went from having nothing the next 6 months to having like 3 or 4 of your biggest titles.
Yeah, not to mention like Rime or The Witness.
Yeah, something like that too, to round out the fall schedule.
Yeah, because the Witness was actually at the announcement of the PS4, and it's like it still hasn't come out, and I know they've been very close, so that seems like a sure bet to be, announced this year. I mean, I'm almost positive they'll have a release date at E3, but like, I mean,
Right.
so like maybe that's one of the games. Like, I think basically like a lot of people don't realize that it's not as dire as they think it is. Like, I think people see that there's not a whole lot of first party support and think that, oh, Sony has nothing this fall. And I just think that that's just completely not true because I mean when you combine it with all the games, like the high quality indies, like everyone Goes to Rapture, um, The Witness, Rhyme, all those, No Man's Sky, it's definitely not like Sony doesn't have games this fall. It's just that they don't have a ton of first party
Right.
games.
Right. I mean, and like you said, we'll see. Maybe they really did this because they have such a great E3 lined up that they don't have time for it. So they're getting these simple ones out ahead of time so people can talk about the big stuff. I don't think that'll be the case.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be almost the opposite, actually. It could be, rather. I see this as from two different angles. In that one, when they announced the Uncharted collection, it's coming out later this year. I don't remember the exact date. It's already on the PlayStation Store. It's ready to pre-order. So that's kind of one of the things that I guess they might have spoiled ahead of time. Um, there's also a couple pretty big games coming out. Final Fantasy XIV, like I was saying earlier, is console exclusive to Sony. With
Oh yeah.
Batman has console. Sony and Batman have gone hand in hand like Call of Duty and Xbox for the last couple of years. In that you have
Yeah.
the really nice fancy PS4 Batman themed PS4 coming out, and Batman comes out the week after E3, I think. I believe so.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it does.
you have hype building up for these games that will be on the stage, and new things will be shown. Um, the new Destiny expansion was possibly leaked. I'm sure that's going to be at the Sony conference as well. So I kind of feel like a lot of it is by announcing some of these things early, they can get a footnote during the conference, and um, for Uncharted, 'cause they could say Uncharted collection. We already talked about it. We're not going to spend too much time on it. Pre-order it right now. Here's a multiplayer demo of Uncharted 4. By the way, in case you want to play this, you could pre-order it from the PlayStation Store right now, or something along those lines. So there's the monetary incentive for or announcing things earlier, and then all of a sudden saying, hey, go to the store, you can do this to get this, or have a game pop up randomly like they've been doing the last couple of years. This is available now on the PlayStation Store. We could do that with some of these games as well, which would be the bigger surprise, and just build up hype for the games that are coming out versus the games that Uncharted Collection is one thing. It's not Uncharted 4. Everyone, a lot of people played Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, so it's not as exciting as an Uncharted 4. So maybe getting that out of the way is a good thing. But the thing I'm most worried about is that they have just boring stuff that we don't really care about that's going to fill out the
Yeah.
conference, and they're announcing the kind of cool things early. I'm worried a lot of it is going to be Project Morpheus if it's coming out next year.
Yeah.
That rumor has come up a lot this week that it's going to be a large chunk of Morpheus.
Which still doesn't make sense
Yeah,
to
I
me.
mean, I've definitely heard that there's gonna be a lot of demos at E3. Like it's gonna be huge at E3. Like as far as the floor space for demos and stuff. But I just hope that it's not also the conference. Like I hope that they don't spend more than 10 minutes on it at the conference because I mean, really, that's not something. I don't really think you can sell Morpheus at a conference. I mean, like we discussed before, unless is that it has a killer app. Like if they're just showing some more of these kind of tech demos that they've been showing in the past, then I think it's it'll be boring and it'll be a mistake, and it'll be taking time from games that are really much more exciting. And I hope that's not the reason why they put it off. As far why they announced some of those release dates early, but for Uncharted, I mean, I think it does kind of make sense, and especially if, like you said, if they do what they did with Uncharted 2, which is make the Uncharted 4 beta available, the same night as E3, which would be a shocker, I think. But they did do it with Uncharted 2, and they did announce the Uncharted collection, so maybe that is possible. I personally doubt it, though. But I do hope that they do that thing where, and right now it's available on the PS Store, like for whatever game they announce or demo or whatever. Like, I personally love it when they do that. Like, so hopefully that happens again, but I'm not putting too much money on it being Uncharted multiplayer beta or
I don't think
even
that's
a
possible.
single player demo. Like, yeah, I doubt it, but I mean, they did do it before, so never know.
The beta you're promised a beta key if you pre-order or if you get the Uncharted collection. So I figured they might show off a multiplayer demo on stage for
Yep.
for Uncharted 4's multiplayer, and they could say, by the way, if you really like this, pre-order this game, and you'll get into the multiplayer no matter what, or the beta for the multiplayer no matter what. While you're there, buy Batman. Here's a demo for Batman, and you get some new Batman feature that we haven't heard of yet. And get excited next week.
I'll be shocked though if Uncharted doesn't show more single player though. Like, I think they're definitely gonna show single player and possibly multiplayer, but I'm definitely looking forward to whatever they show of Uncharted, because I mean that's one of my most anticipated games on PS4 in the future. So, but yeah, it is kind of odd that they're announcing all these release dates early, but hopefully it's because they have so much surprises for us instead of just the fact that they need to cut some stuff out so they have more time for boring stuff, basically.
Right. Yeah, let's hope so.
But other than that, there has been some, controversy lately in gaming involving this game called Hatred. Now, for those of you who don't know, Hatred is kind of like this mass murder simulator. I think it's only for the PC, but basically it's got a top-down perspective. It's kind of like a twin-stick shooter type game, although it's on PC, so it's not just a twin stick. You can also use mouse and keyboard, obviously, but basically the whole premise is you're this guy that hates everything and wants to go out and kill everybody, and you literally do that. Like, you literally leave your house and then just start killing people, innocent people that are just sitting at the bus stop, or cops that show up to stop you, and if you melee them, you like bash their heads in and like say some really tough guy type crap, like, oh, I hate you, this and that. That's not what he says, but you get the gist of it. But the reason why it's controversial is not only the whole premise of it. Some people feel that it crosses a line. I'm one of them, but is it because Twitch actually has decided to ban all adult-only games, and they never had this rule up until like maybe a little bit before this game Hatred came out. Like, now, this game Hatred has been in the headlines for, I mean, it was in the headlines a couple months ago when it was first announced, or maybe even longer than that. But since it was released a little bit before that, Twitch decided to make this new rule, and a lot of people assume that it is because of this game Hatred. And personally, although I do think the game does cross a line, it does go too far, I don't think that Twitch should really ban it or ban adult-only games in general. I just think that type of stuff should be age-gated, which is, age-gate isn't really the best solution, because, kids can just say that they're 18 on the internet and stuff. But, I mean, typically, like, as far as liability and stuff, as far as they're concerned, if they have it age-gated, they can't really get sued or whatever. If some kid watches it and their parents find out and then they get mad and they're like, why is this even allowed? Let's sue the company who let this happen. And it's like, so AgeGate kind of covers them a little bit in that way. I think that's the whole point of AgeGates on websites, unless I'm completely wrong. I don't know. I always thought that that's what the point was, but I personally think that Twitch actually should let this type of game be broadcast. Although I do think it goes too far as the actual video game. But what do you guys think about it?
Personally, I don't really have a problem with them banning adult only games. They're a company. They're luckily for them, they're big enough where they don't need to allow anyone to do anything on their service, and they feel like it doesn't represent the company, so they banned it. And I really don't have a problem with that, especially if they do all adult only games. If they just said this one game, I would have a problem with that because I don't think that's really right. But if they really just draw the line there and it's all encompassing, I guess I don't really have a problem with that. They're just protecting their company at this point.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, and I totally see your point. I just personally, especially when it involves the internet, I think that there should be a little more freedom, like as far as that sort of stuff. But I totally see your point, though. What do you think about it, Brian?
I think it has more. Well, for first of all, I can't think of any adult-only games off the top of my head to begin with, let alone.
Yeah, true.
I wasn't too familiar with Hatred to begin with. I kind of assumed looking at the trailer, if it ever came out, it would get adults only, and from the get-go, they seem to be embracing that, which is fine, but aside from that, I really can't think of any game at all that has that rating. Outside of Australia, which bans Mortal Kombat if it's got a drop of blood in it, but
God.
I think the big decision didn't necessarily come from Twitch, but Amazon, since Amazon owns Twitch now. You can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they bought out Twitch a little while. I think it was Amazon.
Well, I wasn't thinking that that Amazon was the one who maybe stepped in and decided that it should be banned.
I kind of assume so. I'm pretty sure it was Amazon. I'll double check that real quick. But if that is the case, then you don't. If you have Amazon Prime, you can't stream porn as part of Amazon Prime and on any of that stuff. I'm pretty sure. Again, I've never tried to buy porn off of Amazon like that, but
I don't
if you have Amazon Prime, there's no
but...
porn. There's no rated R movies that you can watch, but no triple X movies or anything like that. So I assume it's more to do. Partially it's age gating, partially Twitch's, for games, and you want to reach as many people as possible. So adults only instantly, it doesn't even matter. If you let your kid watch a rated R movie, sometimes it's okay depending on the content. Adults only, though, it's like, no, there's no way. I don't even care what the content is. If it's adults only, there's absolutely no way my kid is going to watch that. I guess it kind of goes the same way with game streams and stuff like that as well. If you have a rated M game, maybe like Call of Duty, for example, I'm not sure if it's that big of a deal if your kid is okay to handle it, to be able to watch that on streams versus just a murder simulator like Hatred is. So especially these days, kids are watching it a lot, and Twitch is big, so big that Google and YouTube are getting into it. So I'm sure they want to.
I do totally see your point there, because Twitch actually really is popular with kids, and like me personally, I would never if I did have a kid, I would never let them play or even watch this game Hatred. Like I said, I do feel like this game does cross the line. Like a lot of people say, that, oh, you shouldn't be making a big deal about it. GTA 5 is glorified, and it's basically you can do all the same things. And it's like, to me, that's completely irrelevant, because the point of GTA is not to go kill everyone. It's to, I mean, the point of GTA is you're a criminal, but you're not a mass murderer. The whole objective of the game isn't to go kill every innocent person you see on the street. And to me, that's where hatred goes wrong, and that's where it's too much. While GTA, I mean, other than like the missions, you could basically go through the game and not kill anyone if you're just driving around the city. So it's like, but the hatred encourages you, it forces you to kill people, basically, pretty much. I mean, I assume you probably could walk around without killing people, but I'm not entirely sure. But to me, like, a lot of people try to lump GTA in with it, like, saying that it's no different, but that's nonsense to me. And I would much sooner let like a kid play or even watch GTA than I would to let them play Hatred, because the Hatred literally before it gives you the controls, it tells you, I hate everyone and I'm gonna go kill everyone, and that's basically the objective of the game. And to me, that is way too much for a kid to be seeing or playing, and I am completely against that. So I don't know. Maybe I have kind of changed my mind about Twitch then, because like you said, a lot of kids watch Twitch, and age gating doesn't really work. Kids can just say that they're 18, and then that way they end up getting to watch the game anyway, which I think would be a bad thing and would be a reason to ban the game. But I mean, it's usually just my immediate reaction to be against censorship in general. But I think in this case, it actually does kind of make some sense, because, like you said, a lot of kids do watch Twitch. It's usually popular with kids, but.
And it was Amazon that bought Twitch.
And also, yes, and like, to the point I was making before, is like, it's a company, so like, while they are censoring on their own website, it's still the internet, so you can stream this somewhere.
True.
It's not no one's banning it from view of the public. They're just, as a business, they're just making the decision. And I'm sure, they, like you said, there's so many kids that use it. I'm sure they have the numbers that they're banning like a very small fraction of streams to protect the overwhelming majority of people who use their website. So
yeah.
From that perspective, it's probably just a good business decision from their eyes.
Yeah, that does make sense. But what do you guys think about as far as the comparisons to GTA 5?
See, I disagree with that. Even just watching that trailer, the tone is just completely different. You're not supposed to go out and kill people in GTA. And none of the characters really say that that's what they want to do. They don't convince you that that's a good thing to do. In fact, in GTA, when you do go off the beaten path and you kill people,
they punish you
even though it's not your objective, the police they punish you for it, right? The police come, it hurts you, you lose money, you lose this, you lose that, you go to jail, you have to go to the hospital, whatever. It's not a good thing to do in the game. You don't want to do it in the game.
Yeah, well.
But obviously,
if police
hatred is completely different.
If police come at you in hatred, it's basically part of the progression of the game. Like it's not not a punishment at all. That's just part of the game, like the way the game progresses. Well, in GTA, it's a punishment. So like, that's why I think the comparisons to GTA are just ridiculous. Just because you can do the same thing that hatred is doing does not mean that it's basically the same problem, or they're both just as bad or just as violent. I think that's just complete nonsense. And
one thing I hate about that debate is that the people who are claiming that try to make you claim kind of that GTA isn't that bad. Well, whereas we're just saying that GTA is correctly rated as an M-rated game, mature-rated game. You know what I mean? But they kind of make you justify the violence in the game, where that's not really what you want to do. You're just trying to tell them that it doesn't equate to the violence and hatred.
The problem with GTA, and it's been kind of the problem forever, is it's been the scapegoat in the industry for violent games or games that are wrongfully impressionable on children. And it's been going on since Grand Theft since at least I can remember Grand Theft Auto 3, where it's a lot more
Hmm.
prevalent. Hey, you could pick up this hooker, have sex with her in an alley, and then, you know, beat her up and get your money back when you're done, and kill her and drive along on your merry way. And I mean, sure, I'm sure a lot of people did that just because they could. I mean, it was GTA, was something new, something awesome. Why not try it once or twice? I'm not sure too many people made it their life's mission to beat up every hooker in Grand Theft Auto 3 and murder them. And yeah, it's a stupid comparison to make. Hey, just because you can do this one thing in this one game where it's not quite the point of the game, doesn't mean that that's what the game should be known for. Sure, you could murder people ruthlessly in Grand Theft Auto, and sometimes it's a little fun to just go out and do that sort of thing. But in the generally speaking, I'm sure most people don't do that. They play the game. They play the game however they want. If you want to be ridiculously violent, sure, go for it. It's a game. Do what you want. It's your game. If you just want to drive around doing random and silly things, that's great too. That's generally what I do. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a stupid comparison to make. Just because you can do something in a game doesn't mean that's what the game should be known for. I remember how many examples of games where something came up, something horrible could happen, and it shouldn't, like in Call of Duty 2 when the No Russian mission, I think it was Call of Duty 2.
Modern Warfare 2, yeah.
Yeah. You know, it seems like there was so much controversy around that. That was the whole game, regardless of what every other mission was. And sure, it was kind of disturbing and violent, but that didn't define the game. And even if it did, it was for a good reason, because it was a important part of the story. Or
Exactly, yeah.
or in World of Warcraft,
And they
I
do
remember.
let you skip it.
Yeah, you could do that. And in World of Warcraft, when there was a expansion coming out surrounding the undead, there was a plague that was unleashed on the game, and then you had a bunch of douchebag people try to infect as many people as possible, but not everyone did that. I'm sure a lot of people ruined a lot of other people's days, but again, that didn't define the game as a whole. It just defined a certain group of people within that, who play that game.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do think it's a stupid comparison in general, and like I don't think GTA it really comes even close to crossing that line. Except for I don't know, maybe the only parts I think that are like bad in GTA is the thing where you're torturing the guy. Like that's the only thing I see anything controversial at all in that game. I mean, because GTA has been around for a while. There's always going to be some detractors of it. The fact that you can drive around and kill people, but I mean, like you said, that's not the point of the game, and um, it's a sandbox. Like you're supposed to have freedom in a sandbox, and it's not encouraging you to do that. It's just you're able to do that because that's the freedom it gives you, and I think it is kind of a dumb comparison. Um,
A little
and
bit of shock value
yeah,
is okay. Anything more than a little is
uh-huh.
pointless because it loses the shock value.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, like I said, I just think that that's the line that hatred crosses. It goes too far because of the fact that it's telling you to go kill every innocent person that you see on the street, and like that's why I think it's not even comparable to GTA or any other game where you can go around killing people. And one element I hadn't even thought of before we discussed it is the fact that you do actually get punished for doing that in other games like GTA or Watch Dogs or even Assassin's Creed. Like if you kill civilians, you do actually get punished. While in Hatred, it's just a part of the progression to have cops show up and try to kill you. So I think it is kind of a weird issue, and I am kind of turning around as far as the whole Twitch thing. Like I totally see your point now, and yeah, I'd have to agree that it does make a lot of sense for them to ban it on Twitch. Because I'd say I don't know what the demographics are, but there's a ton of kids that watch Twitch. So it does make sense.
And especially that they did all adult only
Mm-hmm.
games. Like it wasn't like a Target. It's not going to be like we're going to pick this game because people are up in arms about it. We're going to pick this game because someone had a bad experience with it. It's just it's a rule. It applies to all of
Yeah,
them, and it just going forward that's what they're going to do, and that's why I'm completely
I
All
okay
think it
with
is
it.
pretty
6
obvious
adult
that
only
this
games.
is. Oh, there is.
Right.
I mean, I'm just making up a number, but if it's a rule,
Yeah.
it's great. But like I was saying earlier, the point, or maybe not the point, but most people, when they even possibly get the inkling that their game is going to be adult only, they turn right around, go back to the cutting room floor, and find something to get rid of to make it M, because adults only is usually a game killer. It's I can't really think
True.
of too many examples where a game that came out was adults only. I remember Grand Theft Auto San Andreas got its rating changed after the whole hot coffee thing, and granted the controversy surrounding that was, I mean, it was
Oh, yeah.
unplayable, or that part was unplayable on consoles, but still it was a change to adults only, and they had to recall it off shelves to get rid of the code in the file before they could change the rating to M again and put it back on shelves, because I don't even think it was able to be on store shelves as an adults only game. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think it's a state
Huh.
sort of thing, depending on each state, but you can't even display that sort of thing on shelves. And a PC game, I guess, is a little less important since who buys discs for PC games anymore? You buy everything digitally, so it's a little less important. But
I
generally
actually did
speaking, still
recently.
adult only is a game killer before the game even comes out.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like you said, there's not many as far as I know. So it is pretty clear that hatred is the reason that they decided to make this rule, but um, yeah, like it doesn't affect a lot of games, and it does make sense. I mean, maybe adult only games should have been banned in the first place, and this was just the game that made them realize it. Because this is, the first. I think it's probably the first adult only game to garner even that much attention, and I think it's kind of a shame that because of the controversy surrounding it, it probably actually sold well. And it's like I don't think it deserves that. I don't think it looks like a good game. I think it looks kind of stupid. Personally, I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people will like it, but if I wanted to play that kind of game, I'd just play Dead Nation or something like that. Like I wouldn't want to play this game that takes itself too seriously and is basically a mass murder simulator. To me, that's not appealing. But who knows? Also, I heard it works terribly with gamepad with the controller, so that's another reason I wouldn't want to mess with it. But yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts?
No, I think we basically came to a pretty good consensus on that one.
For sure. Definitely. Well, that was fun. We will probably have a lot to discuss next week. E3, so I think
The big E3 post game.
yeah, so I think we pretty much have our topic picked out already.
Just real quick,
So
less than 30 adult-only games have ever been released.
wow, that's actually higher than I expected.
And some of them have since been edited to be changed to M. So Grand Theft Auto San Andreas with hot coffee in it is considered one of those 28, 29. So was Manhunt before it was edited for less violence.
Oh yeah, yeah. And Grand San Andreas was actually I think the first game I personally went into a store and bought as far as mature rated games, like when I was underage, and they sold it to me. There was one store that said no, but I think it was Funko Land actually sold it to me. Anyways, which is pretty nice. Funko Land turned into GameStop, and I doubt GameStop would do that ever again. Because actually, there's been times where like I'm clearly over 18, and they wouldn't sell me a game just because my license was expired. Not even that I didn't have a license or an ID, just because it was expired. And that happened like a couple times to me, and it was pretty infuriating. I hate the whole expired license thing. Like because like unless it's a fake license, it still shows who you are and how old you are. But that's a whole nother discussion. I think that just about wraps it up. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Crash Bandicoot Vita. It's happening.